Queenzflip has been suspended or fired from the Joe Budden podcast? Yes, I truly believe that is what happened. And you need to stay tuned to the end of this video so you can see the evidence. First of all, Queenzflip has taken to Twitter, and is he referencing what happened between him and Joe Budden? He has missed a slew of episodes, both Patreon and free, and it has left the fans of the podcast and Queenzflip wondering what has happened. First of all, there's this tweet he said here. I'm not changing anything about myself because it triggers people at all. My intent is what matters, not your feelings, especially if you're not directly involved. Could this be because the Joe Budden podcast asked him to do something differently in relations to the way he talked on the show, or something he did to Melissa Ford? Everybody knows about that conversation he had with Melissa Ford about her previous sexual harassment allegations. She said that she went through those, but she never chose to go public. Queenzflip broached that conversation awkwardly. Could that be why Flip was asked to change? I don't know. Then there's this tweet where Flip says, word to stack bundles. I've never signed a non-disclosure agreement in my life. A lot of y'all can't fathom the fact that you were all expendable characters in my game. Keep alerts on though. I'm talking about the people who think they know me, based off the internet. I don't know you, man. Could Queenzflip be talking about people believing he signed the NDA and that's why he's not talking about the Joe Budden podcast? I don't know. Seems fishy to me. Then there's this tweet. Pretty simple tweet. Another one bites the dust. Everybody knows that when a podcast breaks up, Joe Budden usually plays another one bites the dust. It's a signifier that a podcast broke up in a sea of podcasts. He started doing this in order to manicure the conversation about his podcast breakup, right? Usually what Joe Budden does is he'll break down other podcasts breaking up so he can reframe how he treated Rory and Mal. Very genius, manipulative tactic that I see. Very smart though. And with Flip saying this, he's alluding to maybe him leaving or being fired, whichever one that is. He also tweets, do you feel the internet allows you to hold a grudge? How many of y'all hold grudges? And I think Flip is playing with the algorithm a bit, but I also truly believe that something happened at the Joe Budden podcast. Two things can be right. He can be both playing with the Twitter, but something else could have happened at the podcast. And I believe that it could boil down to a negotiation play. As somebody on Reddit pointed out, this is just a Reddit. I'm letting y'all know right now, here's what the Redditor said. He seems pretty confident in what he's saying. Flip wants more money and a split of the ads. Joe doesn't want to give that up. The cause of the suspension is Flip continuing to bring that up in pods when Joe has told him not to. Also, Flip discussing content on his pod before he discusses it here, thus watering down the reaction. That's what it's all over. Now, let's break this down. Flip has been breaking down the ads, talking about he wants part of the prize picks and observing how he notices that Joe Budden has been seeing the prize picks ad a little bit more. Something we got to analyze. And I could see Joe saying, hey man, stop bringing that up. Flip saying, nah. And then that leading to a suspension or take a couple pods off. Or even Flip saying, you know what? I'm going to exercise my time off. And you're going to have to make me come in. And if you look at his channel, he's been engaging in some of the tried and true content that Flip loves to do. Blogs, skits. I'm telling y'all, something happened. And for all you folks in the comments saying, Danny, leave it alone. You don't know what's going on. It could just be Joe. Joe's just doing it. Shut up. Shut up. Shut your ass up. When Joe be speculating about people getting fired at the Breakfast Club or somebody disappearing, y'all don't go crying. Man, get out of here. I'm sick of y'all getting mad at me for what every podcaster does. Just because I specialize on the Joe Budden podcast doesn't mean that I'm held to certain standards. Something happened between Flip and Joe Budden, and I'm tired of y'all acting like we gotta wait for Joe to tell us. Just because Joe said he's not fired, it doesn't mean he's not fired. It doesn't mean he's not suspended. It doesn't mean something didn't go down. I'm sorry for the noise in the background. There's a lot going on. But we need to analyze this. We need to break it down. If Flip's not on the next podcast, something's definitely up. That means 2 whole weeks with no Flip. That has never happened on the Joe Budden podcast. And you know when that did happen? It happened when Rory and Mal took a break because Joe wanted them to take a break in order to prove that he could do it without them, but secretly he was pretending like it was just a break to get the energy right. So is this another play? Is this another play? Is Joe trying to get the energy right and prove to Flip, hey man, we can do it without you? Because he can do it without Flip. That's certainly true. But those pods have been trash. Sorry, Joe Budden's podcast has been in the dirt for a little bit. It's not good. Brilliant Idiots is better. Yeah, I've been listening to Brilliant Idiots. You didn't know that. And while people say Rory and Mal isn't better, it still is more relatable. It still feels a little bit more fun. The Joe Budden podcast is in a rut, y'all. And with Flip acting up, he's acting bad right now. I don't see them getting out of it in any time, any way soon. It's looking nasty. Those Patreon episodes are disgusting. You heard that Bryson Tiller interview. You heard that Ruby Rose interview. You heard that Larry Jackson interview. Weak sauce. Terrible. Garbage. Larry Jackson interview was an ad. The Ruby Rose interview was an ad. Prize Picks. And Bryson Tiller wasn't an ad, but it should have been because it was so trash. You should have gotten some type of monetization. Ruby Rose and Bryson Tiller was so bad that they put a whole episode after it. That's like when you try to piece a meal together because you know the main course is trash. I know, I've seen that move. Joe doesn't do that when it's a good interview. He didn't do that with Tank. He didn't do that with Tyrese. But he did it with those because those were severely lacking. Anyway, let me know what you think about Flip versus Joe. Something is going on. I don't care what any of y'all say. Well, actually, I care what a lot of y'all say. But any of y'all who's trying to say, you shouldn't be speculating, Danny. What the hell is the internet for but speculation? This is what my channel was built on. And doing the science. Science and speculation, y'all. All right, y'all. Follow me on Instagram, The Stop TV. Follow me on Twitter, The Stop TV. This is Danny from The Stop. Peace.
This fine video was brought to you by Danny from The Stop on behalf of Stop Productions. If you liked the video, please hit the like button, comment, or subscribe. Additionally, the thank you button has been enabled. If you want to say thanks, just say thanks on the thank you button. Any donations are greatly appreciated. Danny from The Stop.